Hi, this is Lisa Rangel at Chameleon Resumes, the premier executive resume writing company, and thank you so much for joining me today. So today, we're going to talk about some ideas of what to do if your job search gets discovered, right? If your boss or your coworkers find out about you doing a job search, what are you to do? And that's what I want to talk about here today. So the first step before we even start steps, actually, let's just give you a little backdrop. I want you to know and I want you to realize when you start a job search, it is never risk-free, ever. And there's always a possibility you might get discovered. And I think it's important that, frankly, that step one is to assume you might get discovered. Don't assume, don't hope and pray that you don't. I'd say assume that you might get discovered. So this way, your brain can start role playing through what to expect, what to do, what you might say. And we're going to go through some ideas today, but in a general sense, but I think you need to assume it could happen, right? I mean, if you do a SWOT analysis of anything in your life, business-wise or personal, you're looking at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Well, if you're embarking upon a job search, a threat is that you can have your job search be discovered. So I think it's just one of those things you need to plan for happening. So this way, one, you're not assuming, you're not going to be automatically going into this flight or fight panic kind of moment when it happens, and you will be better prepared if you've anticipated it happening. So that's number one. The second thing that I, recommend, have you consider is be confident that if you're caught doing a job search, I say be confident in being ready. And that's your stance. That's your general stance. And there's always going to be little nuances of how you can handle it based on your particular situation and the risk that it poses in your situation. But from a general sense, if you are discovered, I say own it and say, yeah, I'm being ready. And what inspired me to do this video was, I've seen it happen over the last year on and off, but recently when I did an event, a LinkedIn event for resume writing, some people indicated they were coming, and now, it's when you indicate on any LinkedIn public venue that you're coming to something, a LinkedIn Live, a LinkedIn event, your attendance is noted publicly typically. So, and it could be discovered by somebody else. So needless to say, if you're marking that you're attending to any job search, interview prep, resume writing, LinkedIn profile writing type of event to learn how to do that better, or LinkedIn Learning can go on your profile, you could be essentially outing it that you're doing a job search. But I say, flip it back to the person. Say, look, I'm being ready. I'm taking care of things. I'm not unhappy, or I am happy. You can say whichever statement is more accurate. But we're living in tumultuous times. We are living in a challenging period. And our particular industry is going through X. Our particular company is going through Y. Again, you can customize that message as you need to, but then say, of course I'm going to have my resume ready. Of course I'm going to have my LinkedIn profile updated. Of course I'm going to be talking to people. I just need to create my own safety net. Frankly, why aren't you? And flip it back to your boss. There's nothing wrong. There should be no shame in being prepared, in being ready. And I think we need to normalize being ready and being prepared. That's, I think, the key. So I say own it. If you get caught, say, yeah, I'm talking to people. I'm not leaving, I'm not looking to leave. I'm happy, I'm not unhappy. Again, pick the phrases that are most applicable to you. But then just say I'm being ready, and there's no shame in that. And they shouldn't be threatened unless they know you can do better and or they're not doing right by you. So, which leads to point number 3. If you get discovered, use it as a point of leverage, right? Kind leverage, not threatening leverage. That threatening never works, in my opinion. It might work in the short term, even for some people, but it never, ever, ever works in the long term, because an employer doesn't want to stay with an employee under threat the same way an employee doesn't want to stay with an employer under the guise of a threat or overt action of a threat. So don't use this as a leverage in a threatening way, but use it as leverage in a collaborative, kind way, right? Use it as a springboard into a conversation of what you're looking for, where you're at, what you want to develop further, how you can develop further with this organization, and what they can do for you that's also in alignment with what they need done, they being the employer, right? So that's the key. I think that either side, an employer or an employee, can sometimes miss when they're looking out for their own best interests. There's nothing wrong with that. But make sure your best interests are in alignment with the person that you're in the partnership with, right? So if both of your selfish needs are in alignment, guess what? They're going to probably get met and get done. That's, to me, the key of negotiation. So use this period of discovery to say, if you've been chatting all along about things that you've needed and now it's getting discovered that you're looking outside the company, that's perfect. That is a perfect stepping stone into, well, we've been talking about me wanting X. It hasn't happened here. So now I'm just making sure that what I can, I'm seeing what's out there for me to make sure that X can be done for me. Maybe if it can't be done here, it can be done elsewhere. What can you do for me? And here's how it's in alignment with what you need done here at the organization, right? So, and now if you haven't, so that's scenario number one for this third part. And then scenario number two possibly could be, well, you know what? I haven't really brought this up to your attention. I'm looking to advance in X. I would love for the company to be able to help me with Y so I can do X. Can we talk about this? And let's see if what I need is in alignment with what the goals are for the company or for this department within the organization, and how can this be done? It might be a point of leverage, right? So this is the key. I think the key is to use it constructively and see where the relationship can develop and see where you might come out of it in a more enriching scenario. Obviously, then, possibility number three is it doesn't go well, right? So, if you've truly been unhappy all along, if they are unable to meet what you need in that you've made clear that you need either a work arrangement or a particular professional development event or whatever the case may be, and now they discover you're looking, you know what? This is just the universe's way of telling you need to be ready and you need to go do what you got to do, right? So it might be the fire that you need lit under your butt to really put it into action. So that's the key, is then make sure your network is primed, that you're talking to people and you're doing the process and you're doing an activity or two every day. So make sure that you can advance what you need done for yourself. And you got to put it in your own hands. You can't put it in other people's hands if that leverage point doesn't come to fruition with your current employer. So those are some of my broader suggestions of what you can do. There's obviously some granular advice that can be done if you needed specific advice for your scenario. Obviously, you can always reach out to me for that and learn how our company can do that. But I put these videos out with some general points for you to think and then create your own plan. The goal is to have you be able to be prepared. That's my mantra. That's my why. I want to normalize being prepared. So I say own it. Obviously, you don't need to advertise it, but if you get discovered, if your search gets discovered, own it. And frankly, I think we all need to be ready during times like these. I think that, to me, is really the only job security, is being prepared. So anyway, on that note, if you feel like you want to have a conversation with us to prepare you for 2023, make sure you use the link below and schedule a chat with us. And I look forward to next week. So if you want to not miss next week's video, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. If you feel like this will help someone who's doing a job search and they're a bit nervous and you want some ways to help them be put at ease, then I'm going to ask you to share the video with them. If you have a comment or a question, you can comment below or ask it below, or email me at lr@chameleonresumes.com. I do my best to read and reply to every comment and every email. And I think that's everything. And if you like the video, I'm going to ask you to like it. Kind of like the bare basics there, right? So Have a great holiday. I hope you have a great holiday season. I hope you have a safe new year. And I know we're not quite there yet, but we're obviously starting to celebrate here at Chameleon. I hope you are too in some ways. And look forward to seeing you next week. Take good care.